Hello, Central New York, and hello, hockey fans all across the internet, and welcome to 315 Hockey Live, brought to you by 315hockey.com and powered by My Little Falls. I'm your host, Scott Kinville, and this is just the best time of the year. All these tournaments, the playoffs are around the corner, the weather's getting better, everybody's starting to get into a better mood.
Do you want me to play Jingle Bells for you or something?
Even though Dave's in pain because he fell down before I got here. So he's...
I was on the ground before you got here.
I know. He got me before I got here.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Should see my wife trying to lift my boots and yank on my legs to stretch my back.
Dragging you to the penalty box.
That's a visual we don't want.
Yeah. Well, no, not at all. But we got a lot to talk about, including an ever-tightening AHL North Division playoff race. And before I bring my guests in to talk about that, I'm going to bring my co-host in. He's sitting there in his little lair right there. Looks like he's having a good time. He's Mr. Jordan Brockway. Jordan, what's going on?
Nothing much. Just excited for playoff hockey.
I know, right? It's right around the corner. And I'll tell you, the way that North Division's going, there's no guarantees except for if you're a Toronto Marlies fan.
Yeah, definitely. It's been tightly contested this year.
It is. And it's getting tighter and tighter by the day. And to talk about that with us, we have an old friend of the show. He's been on a couple of times from his work with the Oswegonian, but he is also writing for the ChargingBuffalo.com, which is a Buffalo Sabres and Rochester Americans website. Coming in to talk to us about those Rochester Americans because they are in the Central New York region this week. It's Mr. Zac Case. Zach, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Good to see you again, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you too. It's been awesome. Sorry about the men's team at Utica. That was a really good game. I saw they lost in overtime. So
I tell you, that was a heartbreaker to watch. I mean, man, especially, they came back in the third period like that. And then,
that's huge. That's huge. But that's cool though.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. Final four time for the NCAA Division III. And of course, college hockey kicking things off D1 and AHL. Really good hockey all around right now between Syracuse, Utica, and the Amerks. So, yeah,
absolutely. Let's just dive right into that. So you've been writing for the Charging Buffalo all season, and you've been following the Amerks pretty closely. So, you know what? Syracuse has played them quite a few times, but the Comets haven't seen them since December 28th. So why don't you just give us a quick overview of the Amerks season so far?
Yeah, it hasn't been a bad one overall. I think they started off better than where they are right now. It's kind of been an up and down season, roller coaster, as some people would say. And it doesn't really help based on what happened with the trade deadline and what Buffalo's doing right now. They don't have a lot of firepower down there compared to what they had in the past years with Jack Quinn, JJ Peterka too. They're up on the Buffalo Sabres roster now. But just looking at it, it's kind of been a weird month of March. They've been up and down. Right now they're on a 3-game slid. Their last win was against Laval, a 2-0 victory there in regulation. But overall, it's been back and forth. They're struggling to find some really good goaltending. I was hoping Levi would end up in Rochester at the end of the season instead of being in Buffalo. But overall, they're just looking to really just sneak into the playoffs and see if they can make some noise again. Of course, last season they had a really good playoff run, beating Utica, getting all the way to the finals of the division. I think it was against Laval. But overall, it was a really good end of the season there. Made a lot of noise in Rochester with the fans and stuff like that. But it's kind of been an up and down year so far this year. Not the same team that we saw last season.
It's really funny too because I was thinking about that on the way over. Just like last season. The similarities between the Comets and the Americans are actually uncanny, right? Because like you just said, they lost a lot of good scorers from last year, with like you said, Peterka, Quinn, Peyton Krebs, who was doing really good when he came over in the Jack Eichel trade. He's in Buffalo now. And it's the same thing with the Comets, right? They lost Fabian Zetterlund. They lost AJ Greer. They lost Chase DeLeo. I mean, Alexander Holtz is back, but the parallels are just weird. And, you mentioned that playoff series. I think that there was actually more animosity between the fan bases than there was actually on the ice. When that chicken riggy garbage plate thing started getting a little out of hand for a while, I think.
I'm a big garbage plate guy, so you know who I'm rooting for in that one. I haven't had chicken riggy yet, though, so you could say I'm a little biased. But still, I think it was one of the better series we've seen. I've never been to a game that's sold out in the Blue Cross Arena. So seeing that atmosphere for an Amerks game like that is just unbelievable. It was really cool. I think they might have lost it in overtime that night, but you just look at it and it's just cool for the fan base. Like Rochester's a minor hockey town. Between the baseball team, we used to have soccer, and then you have the Amerks too. And the Amerks are a timeless classic. Like that's what you do on a Friday, Saturday night in Rochester. I know that's the same way in Utica too, which is huge. Same thing in Syracuse. So between really the Amerks and then the baseball team. It's what to do. And they got a really good team still. Like, nonetheless, you look at some of the rookies on that team, then you look at the veterans like Brandon Burdo, leading the team. He's got 50 points in 48 games. He missed some games. You got Weisbach, who's been around for a while, kind of led the league in the development camp / preseason time when the prospects all played against each other in the Eastern Conference. But then you got like Cooley, for example, first-round draft pick later on in the draft, kind of a steal for the Sabres. They had 2 first-round draft picks this year between Cooley and then Salvi too. And overall, Cooley's one of the best rookies I've seen. His shots crazy on the power play. He's going to make an impact on the box score at some point this weekend. He's got 19 goals, 18 assists, 37 points. So guy to watch out for really as a rookie too. So he's going to be in the Sabres roster just like the rest of them from last year.
You know, I guess that's kind of one of the good things about the Sabres hitting the slide as an organization as they did for a few years is you get those high draft picks, right? And then they got to have time to develop. So the minor league teams usually get to see, so plant the seed, so to speak, watch the plant grow, and then they go, off the NHL. But it's still really cool to see. Let's take a look at those standings real quick before we go any further. Again, this AHL North Division is just ridiculous right now. Toronto's already locked their playoff spot up. They've been ahead of the division for pretty much all season. Kind of reminds me of what the Comets did last year, jumped way out ahead and then just kind of got to go into cruise control for the rest of it. But with the playoffs this year, it's set up just like it was last year. So the top 5 teams get in. The first 3 teams get a bye. And then teams, the 4th and the 5th seeds play each other. And I think it's a 3-game series, I believe, for the right to advance into the playoffs. And it goes 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, whatnot. The only difference is now they're not going off winning percentages anymore. They're going by points, which is so much easier to keep track of. Because that used to drive me crazy last season, right? You look up the standings, it's like, well, wait a minute. They got more points. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's the winning percentage. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's a weird playoff format, to be honest with you. Like, just the way they lined it up, I liked it totally better the way it used to be. Even nowadays with the NHL one, I would rather have it, hey, you take whatever amount of teams from each division, give me 8 on each side, and give me the best 8 teams. Don't worry about the wild card. Don't worry about anything like that. Like, I shouldn't get in because I'm the 3rd best team in the division, even though the other division has better teams. So, honestly, you look at it, like you look at last year, like Rochester were able to come in. I think they're the 5th or the 4th seed. They're able to play their way in and then upset Utica. That's the same thing that can happen with the Marlies. The Marlies are a really good team. I think they are on a little bit of cruise control right now, but you know what happens in the playoffs. Anything can happen. You guys saw it over the weekend. Like, you see it every hockey game. You don't know who's going to win when it comes down to it. And Utica, Syracuse, Rochester, really good teams, even down to like Laval and Belleville, like really good as well. Toronto, might be a gear ahead of them. But at the end of the day, like, you get into a 3-game series and you take the first one on the road, anything can happen in game 2 and 3, especially in a 3-game series.
You get a hot goaltender, right?
Oh,
exactly. You get a goaltender at the right time, it just messes everything up. That's why, honestly, those 3-game series are just nerve-wracking. And I don't care if one team has 50 points more in the standings. It doesn't matter because it's 3 games. It actually is skewed towards the underdog, right? And to be honest with you, I'll tell you, and I've always felt this way, mixed emotions as far as if your team gets a first-round bye in the playoffs, because especially with hockey is such a sport of habit. Right. And once you get into that habit of playing every other day or, being on the road and all that, and now all of a sudden you got a week off, which is great if you've got some injuries and you can rest up, but it also takes you out of your rhythm. And especially if you're playing a team that's already gone like the distance in their series, they're in that rhythm and they're just clicking. Right. So if your team comes out flat and say game 1, you could potentially end up behind the 8 ball. That's how you get rewarded for having a really good regular season. So it's kind of weird how it works out.
Yeah, totally. And that's the thing. Like, you talk about goaltending, like last year, UPL stood on his head all playoffs. And now you see him in the NHL playing for the Sabres. Yeah, not the best season overall, but he started on Rochester and got his chance. And he went up there and took it after an injury to, I think it was Eric Comrie. And now he's under Craig Anderson. And what a mentor up there for him and Levy. And those 2 guys, if they stick together and they can figure it out, who's the starter, who's the backup. Maybe it's a split role, a 60-40 type deal. That's going to be a really good tandem in Buffalo. And right now you see in Rochester, you got Malcolm Subban in there. I would say he's at his end of his career. No true prospect holding down the starting position. Then you got Michael Hauser, that guy's been around for ages. I think he's like 11th or 12th year in the AHL. He's played in every division, got to be now. And you look at him, and he's got the experience in the AHL where he can teach these guys up front, like, hey, this is how you play when you get later in the season. This is how you play when you get in the playoff series. So I'm very excited to see. I think Subban could really improve in his game. He came out really hot when UPL left, and it kind of stunned the fan base. Like, hey, like, didn't really expect this from a guy that wasn't getting any time in the NHL last year. Kind of came out of nowhere when UPL left, took the starting role. Now him and Hauser battling it out. Subban kind of tapered off a little bit now, but if they can get better goaltending and get a team in front of them like they have, they got a couple guys out of the trade deadline, which are good pickups in my opinion. They lost a couple guys too. Bork went to Chicago. They ended up getting someone from the Ice Hogs. So very excited to see what can happen here, and especially when you have a rivalry down the Interstate 90, it's always a big game.
You know, now that you bring that goaltending up, let's talk about that first. So I was going to start talking about the divisions, but that can wait for a second. I like this sidetrack here. Right? Well, you mentioned Hauser. I think Hauser at one time faced the original Utica Devils, by the way. But
probably. The guys and you look at Rochester, they've had 5 goaltenders this season. Erik Portillo came down, did a stint after he got injured. He played 3 games. I wouldn't say it was the best 3 games, but it was more of a conditioning stint. They got Beck Warm, who came up from Cincinnati from the ECHL. He's played very well. He only got 2 games, but he came in, played pretty solid. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. And then you got Subban, who's been in there for a while. He's posting a 3.0 goals against average right now, 0.903 save percentage. Not the best numbers, but not the worst. Definitely could get you a starting job with 31 games played. So he's played plenty of minutes. Hauser's just under 1,000 minutes right now with 17 games played, and he's right around the same pace. 0.902 save percentage, 0.03 goals against average. So you got 2 goaltenders putting up solid numbers, not the best, not the worst. It could definitely improve, though, and that's what they're going to need in the final stretch here. I think they got 10 games left, maybe even less than that. I want to look it up now. 12 games. So they got 12 games remaining. They're going to have 3 this weekend in 3 days against some good opponents. They got Hershey on Friday. I think they got Cleveland on Sunday, and then they're going to go on the road middle of the weekend to Saturday for a short bus trip to you guys. So that's going to be a big weekend overall. You got to take points away from Utica if you're Rochester, though, in 4th.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And it's funny because you mentioned Devon Levi there. He just came out of Northeastern, had a fantastic season. What a goaltender. Obviously the goaltender of the future for the Sabres.
He's got to be the best goaltender from the NCAA, right?
Got to be. Oh yeah. I would agree with that. I would agree.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that kind of it was a curious choice by the Sabres for me. They signed him right to his ELC, his entry-level contract. And he's in Buffalo right now. Now, I don't totally disagree with him being in Buffalo to get a few games and to get the experience. But is he going to be able to come back down to Rochester, say that if the Sabres or if the Americans make the Calder Cup playoffs and the Sabres miss in the NHL? I don't think he can he? Because he wasn't on that list at the trade deadline.
He can't come down. So the only way, if he signed and got in, he would have to come in right off the get-go and sign. It was signing something else. I'm trying to pull it up right now.
It was an ATO, I think, or something, wasn't it?
So he had to sign that and play 5 games before the playoffs. Unfortunately, because he signed the entry level, he can't come down to play in the CHL till next year, or in the AHL till next year.
Which, I'll tell you, I mean, again, I'm not trying to second guess what the Sabres did, but it's just kind of curious to me because if you look at the standings with the Sabres right now, and this has been a fantastic season for them. It's so nice to see something positive coming out of Buffalo again. It's really fantastic because I've said it a million times. The Sabres fan base deserved better than what was happening. And it's finally starting to turn the corner, right?
Well, it's like the first time in 10 years, I think you hit the trade deadline and we're talking about playoffs possibly.
Right, sure.
Usually you get the trade deadline time. It's like, all right, season's over. Like put it in, call it a day, go to the golf course.
Yeah, definitely. But with this ELC now, they're going to end up burning the first year of that right off the hop. And if the Sabres don't make the playoffs, then that kind of, I don't want to say stunts his development because this surely isn't. But it would almost seem like it would have been better for him to have to maybe go to Rochester first, right? Sign the ATO with Rochester. Okay, we'll start your ELC next season with Buffalo. but get him some maybe playoff experience anyways. Get that. And to not only that, get used to the professional game, because as talented as he is, the pro game is a lot different from the college game still. There's a little bit more physicality in front of the net. Obviously, it's a little bit quicker. But, it is what it is now. I mean, there's no turning back on that decision.
Oh, definitely. But I think for him and in his camp, maybe his agent and him talking, like, I would want to burn the first year.
Oh, sure.
Like, you don't know what's happening in Buffalo right now. You don't know what team this is going to be come next season, for example.
Right.
So if I'm them, burn the first year. I'll take as many practice sessions as you want up in Buffalo. There's video of him practicing today at the Harbor Center, which was obviously great. But he might get 3 or 4 games, not even, maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And for him, that's fine. I think that's what he wants. He had a busy season in the NCAA. There sounds like there was something involving an injury at some point that was lingering around. That had to come into the decision possibly.
Sure. Yeah.
So you look at it, you want to end up in Rochester. He'll be in Rochester next year, I think. I believe. I don't think he's going to end up in the pros right off the get-go.
Right.
But it's the question mark right now in Buffalo in terms of goaltending. And he could be the key to that. It just depends on whether or not he wanted to walk. And that was the conversation all season. Was he going to walk like some of the other guys, like Erik Portillo, for example? He looked at the situation in the room. He walked. He's gone. They ended up getting something for him, but he could have walked at the end of the year.
Right. And I was kind of curious as to why that went down that way, because he was actually at one time being considered as the goalie of the future, even though, by his standards, his season at Michigan this year hasn't been that great compared to what he had done. I mean, obviously, they still made the NCAAs. They're still number 2 in the country, so it wasn't all bad. But I was curious about that. So that does clarify a lot that he was going to be able to leave at the end of the season anyway. So
him and Levy were up this year. It was whether or not they signed in Buffalo this year. I think Portillo read the room, saw the goaltending situation, and they ended up. The good thing is Buffalo got something out of them.
Right.
They got a pick or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was a 3rd round pick, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they got a trade out of him, and they got something out of him, which is obviously huge. And LA probably will sign him. Like, look at
they got to. Yeah,
you look at LA's situation, a lot better compared to Buffalo for Portillo. So
right, sure. So I mean, hey, why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely. But I'll tell you too, just on a sidebar, what a trade that was to end up getting Levi out of that deal, getting rid of Sam Reinhart, who basically had just become a poison in the locker room, and to get somebody like that out of that whole deal and a 1st round pick on top of it. Good on you, Kevin Adams.
I think, and I can't remember who that pick turned into. I want to say it was someone. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but at the end of the day, like, you just look at it overall, whoever that 1st round pick was, I'm pretty sure he's already listed on the pick list. It's just a great trade. Like, Sam Reinhart was a great player. I remember when they picked him. I remember, I think I was in the arena for that one, but he was a great player. And at the end of the day, didn't want to be in Buffalo. They ended up getting a lot out of him. And it's one of those things where you look back at the Jack Eichel trade, you look at the Ryan O'Reilly trade, like, both teams won those trades. Tage Thompson is one of the better players in the league now, and everyone won that trade. So Buffalo's made some really good trades as of late, and they got guys on the back end. Like, you look at Victor Olofsson, he came up through development. Peyton Krebs has really turned it around in Rochester. Now he's up top. Jack Quinn, JJ Paterka, like guys we've already talked about. They just need to solidify the defense and get a goalie in there.
Right, absolutely. And by the way, that pick was Dave the Save Warner. But anyway.
All right.
So
they got me? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on waivers.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I'm on something.
But let's go back to that AHL North Division, because I tell you, for a little while in the middle of the season, it kind of seemed like things were separating a little bit. But now, like we said, take Toronto out of the equation. You've got 6 teams in that division that are just in a battle right now for those 4 spots. And looking at that top to bottom, Zach, they're separated by 9 points. I mean, even Cleveland, who was left for dead at one point. Remember, I mean, they were just floundering at the bottom of the division. They got themselves on a winning streak. They got right back into it. Laval's up and down. Laval actually, if you look at it, they lost a lot to Montreal. They lost a lot of scores, to them, between Anthony Richard, was it Jesse Gillette? I think it is, that kind of thing. But, I mean, Belleville's right there. They're in the mix at 61 points. The Americans are sitting right there at 4th place. And, of course, the Crunch and the Comets are battling it out for 2nd and 3rd. However, depending on how this weekend goes, the Amerks could join that fight as well.
Oh yeah, totally. And you talk about Cleveland. Cleveland's 2 points out of a playoff spot right now, playing
Yeah.
as a 5 seed. So it's one of the tighter playoffs race I've seen in a while. Obviously, if you want to leave out Toronto, it's pretty tight. And you bring Toronto in the mix, it's not like Syracuse can't get up there for it for the 1 seed, possibly. I don't know how likely it's going to be, but still, they got 12 games left. They got 2 games at hand over the Marlies. You got Utica, who's got 1 game less than Syracuse. But then you look at Cleveland, they got 13 games left. So they got an extra
Yeah.
compared to everyone. So they could definitely jump up in there.
Right, exactly. And I mean, if it really, I mean, they could stand to improve because obviously Columbus isn't going to make the playoffs. So they'll probably be sending a few guys down as their season ends. So if Cleveland can get into the playoffs, they're going to get reinforcements. It's going to be the same thing with Laval, right? Belleville most likely will get a few guys back. So I mean, if the Sabres don't make the playoffs, the Amerks are going to. So really, the only teams in that division that aren't going to get anybody back is going to be Toronto, the Crunch, and the Comets. So that could maybe tip the balance of things a little bit too. We'll see if it does or not. I don't know, but yeah. So what was it? Yeah, Tuesday night. I'm sorry, I got my days all mixed up now. I'm all screwed up because we're on Thursday night. So and the Amerks and the Crunch played on Tuesday night, which is a little bit different. Even though I have to say I kind of like that when they have that different night every once in a while, it makes things a little bit more interesting.
I'm so used to the Wednesday midweek game halfway through the week. It's when they normally play. They play on the Wednesdays.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean that little Tuesday night, I had to look at I looked at the scoreboard. I was like, what? I go, is this a mistake? What's that? Oh yeah, no, it's real. But no, they so what was it? It was a shootout, right? So the Crunch and the Americans went to a 3-2 shootout that the Crunch won, but it's not all bad because you still get a point out of it. And that's the other thing that gets so dangerous at this time of year because everybody looks, 2 points here, 2 points there, 2 points here. But you start getting into these overtime games and these 3-point games, and it just throws a monkey wrench into everything.
Oh, definitely. And if you're in Rochester, you wish you got that third point. At the end of the day, like you get one away, but you needed that last point, especially against Syracuse. I don't know if they're going to play the Crunch. Yeah, they got the Crunch 2 more times. They're going to see Cleveland to end the season 2 more times. They're going to have Utica 4 more times, or 3 more, excuse me. So they got Cleveland twice again this month. So a lot of in-division games where you can't be going to overtime. You got to get everything in regulation, make sure you get the points off the board and take them into your favor. Because as soon as you start giving up those overtime points every once in a while, or say you win it, you're still giving them a point. You're still cutting in half what really you're trying to do. So
yeah, exactly. And that's what makes I mean actually, and it's fun because every game is huge now. Because I was looking ahead at the schedule. I don't think there's a lot of out of division games left for anybody.
So yeah, so Friday against Hershey's realistically the last game out of division for Rochester, at least.
Yeah. So then there it is. And I don't think the Comets play at all out of the division. Matter of fact, I don't think they leave New York State for the rest of the regular season, which is nice for travel purposes, but
Well, yeah, like look back in my childhood, we had 7 teams in New York State at one time.
Yeah, it's
between
true.
Albany, Binghamton, Adirondack.
Yes.
You had Glen Falls as well, and then you had all the way across to Rochester.
Yeah, and that was the golden time.
And then you had the ECHL, you had the Jackals down in Elmira.
Right.
So where the Fed team is now, which is just crazy to think about.
I know it is. But I tell you, the hockey history that's in the state is unreal.
Yeah, Binghamton hits 50 years this year.
Yeah. I mean, and again, it's too bad really what happened with their AHL team. I'd love to see them be able to pick up an ECHL team at some point.
Yeah, the cool thing was I was there this weekend for the FPHL, and they sold out that rink. They love that hockey team down there. So it'd be really cool if they can get an ECHL team. They got the facility to do it. So does Elmira technically. So it would be really cool if Binghamton or Elmira could get that.
Yeah, I like the colors on that Binghamton team. That's really cool.
Yeah, the Black Bears it's a really nice organization. They took care of us on Saturday. But the cool thing is I think Elmira's getting an NAHL team. Rochester's getting one. The Wegmans family's putting on.
Really?
They're going to put a ton of money in the Rochester Ice Center, which is Thomas Creek over. It's on the east side in Penfield area. So they're going to put a NAHL team in the Rochester Junior Amerks. So yep.
Oh, that's excellent. Excellent news.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you, anytime the game grows, it doesn't matter where it is, as long as it just keeps growing. That's excellent.
Oh, exactly.
That is excellent. And you got Nazareth out there, you got RIT out there for college. I mean, there's just hockey everywhere. It's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's take a look, see at the this game coming up Saturday night, because like I said, the Comets and the Americans, by some weird quirk of the schedule, haven't seen each other since December 28th, which is weird when they play 10 times this year. So they take like a 2-3 month break from each other, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute, we got to get those games in. So they just cram them all in at the end of the year. But running down the list, I mean, I just did a little quick comparison here. The Amerks for goals per game, they're at 3.25, which ranks them 11th in the league. The Comets are at 3 even, which is 23rd. Goals against per game for the Amerks is 3.37, which is 24th. The Comets are 3.02, which is 16th. And then the power play units, 20.2 for the Amerks at 13th. The Comets are only at 15.8% at 30th. And then the penalty kill, the Rochester's at 79.8% or 22nd in the league. And then the Comets are, well, this one's easy to remember, 77.7, 26th overall in the league. So looking at those numbers, this should be a pretty good game. And again, they're separated by 5 points in the standings. These games mean everything.
Yeah, exactly. You look at Rochester, I think their penalty kill could improve. I think that's kind of the weak spot right now with goaltending. Overall, they got plenty of firepower up top. It's not the same as it used to be, but it's definitely just newer guys mixing it in, adding some new chemistry involved. And you look back to that Wednesday, December 28th game versus Utica, 5-4 overtime victory, a barn burner in Rochester. Berto has 2 points. Murray had 2 points as well. Ruzick had 2 points. So plenty of different Amerks getting involved in the scoring. Subban was in net, and I think that was his 8th of the season in net, and he improved to 6-1 on the year. So overall, you look at it, it's going to be a good game. Utica came back and scored 2 in the third period. So I'm very excited to see what happens at the Odd on Saturday. I wish I could come out, but overall, it's going to be a really good game no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, and they've split the season series so far. They played 6 times, and each team's won 3. And it's it's just it's more massive than people think, because again, Rochester pulls the win out in regulation, and depending on what happens between the Crunch and the Comets, they're going to pull within 3 points on somebody.
Yeah, exactly. The points are so close, and it just really comes down to who plays the best hockey in the home stretch. You got 12 games left, 10, 11 games left. You're going to have 3 this weekend, and that's a majority right off the get-go you're done with. And then you head into the final month really left.
Yeah.
And then it's playoff time. And right now, you look at all 3 teams in Central New York, Western New York, they're scheduled to make the postseason. 2 of them looking at buys right now. So we'll see what happens. I'm very excited. The Amerks are always good. It's always fun to go to those games. I'll be there tomorrow night for Hershey. But overall, it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you look at the Comets, they've got to be careful here, because honestly, their special teams have not been up to snuff. I mean, 30th overall on the power play, 26th overall on the penalty kill. Those are the kind of numbers that get you burned big time in the playoffs. And Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they just call up another goaltender from the ECHL, because Dawes is still out?
Yes, they did.
Mike Robinson, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, Isaac Poulter's been, doing a decent enough job of holding the fort down. But I mean, like I said, at some point you got to get your goalie some help too. You got to start scoring on those power plays, because that's huge.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I think you look at special teams. We see it in college hockey. You see it all the time in the pros too. It makes or breaks games. I don't know how many times you take away the special teams goals and it's a 1-goal game, or it's a different outcome based on how it happens. So I'd like to say you got to stay out of the penalty box. I think you do at the end of the day, especially against a team like Utica, no matter what. Or if you're Rochester, you want to try to put Utica in the box. It's going to be a physical game. I think that's the best reason why I like when Syracuse or Utica plays Rochester, because it's always physical no matter what. I think you see that a lot with all the teams in the North Division. They're very physical teams, but I think at the end of the day, whenever you get a team together from the interstate, it's always a good physical, like usually 1 or 2 goal game with an empty net. It's usually a close one.
For sure. And again, like I said, this is just, and honestly, looking at this division, it's a shame 2 teams are going to have to miss.
No, yeah, totally. Like I said, wish it was a different playoff format. It's kind of crazy that 5 teams make it, but I don't know how many teams. I think it's like 26 teams make the playoffs in the AHL.
Yeah, I know,
which is just gnarly. That's over 2/3 of the league, I think.
Well, it's wacky because you got like a 10-team Pacific Division, and I
Yeah.
think like 8 of them make it, and there's some weird little I don't know.
The
It's-
West Coast expansion is crazy compared to, like, if you look at the map from like 2005 of what the AHL used to be, and then you look at it now, completely different layout of how it is.
Yeah, definitely for
And
sure.
that's just the growth of the sport and moving it out west. Support some of those Pacific teams already out there in the NHL.
Well, it's kind of funny how it all comes full circle because I mean, years and years and years ago, there was the International Hockey League, which was basically the West Coast version of the AHL, and that's where a lot of like the West Coast teams had their farm clubs because it was on the same level as the AHL, and then that league folded, and so it was left to basically be absorbed into the AHL. But again, it makes much more sense to have those teams out there for those teams.
Yeah, totally. I think one of the weirdest things growing up was when Florida took over the Amerks. And Buffalo
Yeah, right?
went to Portland, and it's like, guys, we're like 45 minutes.
I know.
Like, I can drive quicker than your players can get to your own rink right now. And it just makes so much sense. It was weird because, like, you got people wearing Sabres jerseys to games, and they're not even a part of the Sabres, and it's just weird. But then you also saw the Florida prospects, which was pretty sick. It was a little different back then, and then you get a whole new bunch of players come Buffalo. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is kind of cool seeing the just a different set come through. But I'll tell you, it's at least here, for the Comets, we're very fortunate in the regard that New Jersey kind of went the same route that Buffalo did. They had to suffer for a little while to get those draft picks built up, and they got some great prospects come through for all of us to watch. So, Zach, tell us a little bit about your work at the Charging Buffalo. Dave, you want to
Yes. So what happened there was I met with Jared, the owner, Jared Holt. He's 26. He's a graphics guy, but he started this a while back, and he added it in. And he was I met him at the development camp actually this summer, and I was like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm gonna have some more free time this year with broadcasting, and this is what I want to try to do. Like, I'm a local kid from Rochester. I was a season ticket holder with my dad my whole life. I love going to games. I'm a fan, but I also want to try to like make this step out of college. I want to do something outside of SUNY Oswego, and this was the option. I do a daily. It's called On the Farm, daily or a monthly report, just on the team. Go over what happened last month, what's going in the future, who's the top players, and what the rookies are doing. And it's nice. We post it on the website every month, once a month, the beginning of the month, and then we put it out on Twitter. We're working on some more stuff. They got a lot of podcasts right now. We're trying to do some more Instagram, social media work. That's going to be coming in the works either over the summer or next year. So I'm very excited. It's a nice opportunity, something I can branch out in and get involved in more on the professional side. And obviously, always fun to do more work, especially when it's about a team you love to watch. So.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I'll tell you, you did such a fantastic job out there in Oswego. And I mean, you were really like Mike Emmerich out there when you were along the boards. I mean, much better than Pierre McGuire. I'm going to tell you that. So,
I appreciate it. It would be really cool if they could stuff us between the benches. I wish that was the thing. Probably would have got really good content there. But overall, that was fun. We actually talked to 2 players today. We're going to keep the podcast going for the rest of the school year till graduation in May. So we're doing just interviews type stuff. I told all the guys, I was like, hey, if you guys want to come on, pick a buddy and come on. So we sat down for 30 minutes today, talked to a couple guys that got injured halfway through the year, and talked about the injury side of stuff. And I don't know, I'll really miss the broadcasting stuff. I'm trying to do a little bit with the Mammoth of Elmira in the FBHL. I have a buddy of mine that's the director of broadcasting there. So get games every once in a while. Hopefully start coaching here next year, kind of give up on the media stuff and push that aside and start a new chapter. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're always welcome to come back on this show, though, because it's so much fun every time you're on, man. And just before you go, you said you were talking to some of the players. So I know, like in segment 2, Jordy, we got some stuff to talk about with Utica. Oswego, they had a few players go pro too, didn't they? I know Alex DiCarlo went to Roanoke.
Yep. So Alex DiCarlo, he's really led the team in scoring ever since his freshman year. Really good release, really a character guy, awesome leadership guy too. He went to Roanoke. They had a couple players that they were thinking about going to Roanoke as well. Only one win, Alex DiCarlo. But other than that, there's a couple guys that are thinking about coming back next year, which would be pretty cool. Joining the team for a 5th year. And obviously they're keeping a lot. They're keeping their freshman goalie, Cal Shell. They're keeping the rest of the guys. But yeah, DiCarlo already down in Roanoke. It's weird. It's a weird connection. They got right now they have another guy there. They had Travis Broman go there before he went to the Adirondack Thunder. I hope he can get called up to Utica at some point. He's a really good player. Yep, he's an awesome guy. You guys would love to watch him play. But
Nice.
Yeah, they got DeCarlo down there, so I guess shout out to him for me.
I'll tell you, that's such a cool name too. The Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs. That's awesome.
Yeah,
It
my
is.
favorite
I
one.
love
yeah.
it. I love it. We had Roy Chambers on with Marty's. That was great. So, but yeah, geez, Zach, we just appreciate it so much. And like I said, anytime you want to come on the show, please just say the word.
Yeah, we'll do. Thank you. Yeah, we'll see what happens next year. I'll be in Rochester, but always kind of an honorary member of the 315. So I'll keep you
Absolutely.
posted.
And if you make it down to Utica for a Comets Americans game sometime, let me know. And I'll tell you, I do got to get out to the Blue Cross Arena for a hockey game. I went out there once for a Bruce Springsteen concert, but I've never made it for a hockey game.
It's a good little barn. I'm telling you, when it's
it
packed
is.
during the playoffs, it's a pretty cool experience. I never will forget the Utica Odd though, packed on Teddy Bear Toss night.
Oh.
Probably the only broadcast I was nervous for. So that was pretty fun ice level though. Pretty cool to be a part of it. But overall, yeah, pretty cool place. So.
Hey, just be happy it was Teddy Bear Toss night, not like weight plate toss night. So
yeah, who knows?
Oh man, but Zach, thank you so much. And like I said, everybody check out thechargingbuffalo.com. It's a great site and Zach does great work on it. So Zach, take care, buddy, and we will talk soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me again.
All righty. Thanks, man.
See ya.
All right. Zac Case from thechargingbuffalo.com. That's a lot of fun, I tell you. And, and again, it's like I said earlier, it's nice to see the Sabres on the rise again. But more importantly, this AHL North, man, I tell you, this division is going to be such a fun finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's packed.
It is. It is. It's just, and it's unreal how it all came together at the end. But all right. So listen, Jordy, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we got a lot of college hockey stuff to talk about. So let's take a quick break. And all right, Jordy, we are back for segment 2. Like I said, lots of college hockey to talk about. First of all, let's start off with the Colgate Raiders. They are in the big dance. They're in the NCAAs after having an improbable run through the ECAC tournament. But man, I'll tell you, it was awesome. Just awesome what they did. And in winning the ECAC tournament, they won themselves an automatic bid into the NCAAs. They're ranked in the top 20 for the first time all year. They're now at number 19. Tomorrow night, they take on number 2, Michigan. That's down in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Game starts at 8:30. That's going to be on ESPNU and ESPN Plus if you want to watch it on TV. I'm not sure if there's still tickets available for that or not. I was actually thinking about going down to that, but I got to work Saturday. So it would have been an awful long drive back from Allentown, Pennsylvania to come back to work. But anyways, after watching what Colgate did in the ECACs, and everybody's saying that Michigan's gonna heavy favorite. Jordy, what do you think? Can Colgate pull this out?
Where I stand is I think they can if they catch Michigan the right way and can play the right game. And now Michigan is such a tough team that if this were in Michigan, I'd say, yeah, I don't have as much faith, but since it's a neutral site, I think there's a very good chance for them, especially since it's in Pennsylvania, so it's a lot closer for a lot of Colgate fans than it probably would be for a lot of Michigan fans. So that also could play a factor.
Well, I mean, hey, you know what, though? For the Michigan fans, there's a vacation opportunity to go to Allentown, Pennsylvania. But anyways, I kid. I mean, that arena they have is absolutely beautiful down there, that PPL arena.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you something. I truly believe in my heart that Colgate has a puncher's chance on this one. Just like I said, and Dave, you can back me up on this.
That's true.
I said it going into the ECAC tournament that Colgate had a chance.
You did.
I said it right from the start because Colgate was one of those teams, you watch them all year long. And yes, they had their ups and downs. They were a little bit inconsistent, but they're a very young team. They're going to get that with a young team. But I said, if they can put it together, they're as good as anybody they'll face on the ice. And what they do, they put it together in the ECACs. And it did it in pretty convincing. I mean, that Quinnipiac game was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Then they, some people will say, well, they hung on against Harvard. Well, they had a 2-goal lead. Harvard got one late to get it close, but you know what? They still won. And I'll tell you something. In a 1-game playoff situation, the one thing that any team, and I don't care if you're undefeated all year long and you're playing a team that's won only 2 games, the one thing that another team does not want to see is a hot goaltender. You do not want to see that. And guess what? Carter Gylander is playing out of his mind right now. The Colgate goaltender, he's been unreal. So yes, it is a tall order. I mean, I'm looking at some of these numbers on Michigan, right? So Michigan has the number one offense in the nation. They're at 4.1 goals per game. They got 34.3 shots per game. Power play is at 23%, which is really good, but there is an Achilles heel on Michigan, and their penalty kill is atrocious. It's 77.1%, which is 50th in the nation. Now, yes, I mean, okay. So they got a bad penalty kill, but listen, the rest of that team is stacked because when you look at Adam Fantilli, he's actually projected to be the number 2 overall pick by some in this upcoming draft. He's got 27 goals, 34 assists, and 61 points in just 33 games played this year, which is unreal. I mean, he's a freshman. Well, he's a freshman, so that's kind of scary. Then their second leading scorer is a name that, there's a lot of people around here should be familiar with. One Luke Hughes, who people were kind of hoping he was going to come to Utica, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going straight to New Jersey. In 36 games, he's got 9 goals and 33 assists. He's also taken 121 shots. And their goaltenders, who we've already talked about once already, Erik Portillo. He was lights out last year. This year, he's still got a record of 23, 10, and 2, but he's got a 3.08 goals against average, and his save percentage is 0.907. So, with that said, again, there's a puncher's chance here. I mean, Colgate can counter with Alex Young, who's having a great season himself. He's got 21 goals and 18 assists. Matt Verboon is getting hot at the right time. Even Alex's brother, Colton, who is known as a goal scorer, kind of snake bit this year. He's taken a lot of shots. It's just they weren't going in. Well, he had 3 goals in the ECAC tournament. And I've already mentioned Carter Gylander, and there's one wild card I want you to keep in mind in this Colgate game, and that's defenseman Nick Anderson. So Nick has been outstanding all year long, but he's really turned it up in the second half. He's got 18 points over his last 21 games. And I'll tell you, when you can get that kind of offense from your blue line, and he's been doing it real quietly too, overlooks it, but he's been outstanding. So personally, I'm going to tell you right now, I think they got a chance.
Yeah, and that's with Michigan's goalie. That's sometimes what you can run into is maybe a small cold streak or an off season, and that can sink you, even just one bad game. So Colgate has a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And should they win, they will play the winner of the Penn State-Michigan Tech game. So let's hope Penn State doesn't win that because they'll have a decided home ice advantage.
Yeah.
And just one real quick thought on that, too, with the Michigan Wolverines. They actually have 2 New Jersey Devils draft picks. Did you know that? They got Luke Hughes, and then the other one is Seamus Casey, who they took in the second round in the 2022 draft. He's a defenseman as well. So a lot of familiarity.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a touch. All right, let's get back closer to home here. Up at the Utica University Nexus Center from today all the way through the 28th is the USPHL Nationals for the Premier and the Elite divisions. They started today. Then there's going to be a ton of games played over the next 5 days. So if you're in the Utica area, by the way, this weekend it is going to be insane. Up at the Adirondack Bank Center and over at the Nexus because you got the Comets in town for 2 games. They're playing Friday and Saturday night. They got the Crunch Friday night. And then, of course, you're going to have all those games going on. But, again, if you're bored this weekend, you have no excuse because there is a ton of hockey to go to. All right? And let's see. Oh, by the way, a former Pioneer, Roman Amerado. Did you see that?
Yeah.
His team, he's the head coach of the St. Augustine Hermits, who he played for, I guess, when he was in high school. He's the head coach now, and they won the New Jersey State Championship. And Roman was actually named Coach of the Year on top of it. So good on you, Roman. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was good to hear. I mean, and that was the team he lost to in his final season and when he played there. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. So I mean, it's always nice. And by the way, if you're a golfer, he's got Stogie Golf. So really cool hats. Remember that?
I remember
he was on our old show.
As soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, I think we'll have to get Dave a Stogie Golf hat.
Oh, I'd like that, yeah.
We'll just get him one with the back brim so when he falls down, he can bounce back up.
Still waiting for my 315 hat.
Oh, well, here you go.
No. Got Cody's.
I get you Marty's mug. You complain about
I do. Somewhere.
Okay. Well, you know what? Too. Speaking of, there it is.
There
See,
it is. I got it here. It's here. We can show it somewhere.
Oh, see, oh, there it is.
There's
see?
the Marty's mug.
The
Yeah.
Marty's mug.
It's there. Yeah.
Yeah, you consider it your Stanley Cup. Okay.
I wear it as a cup. Don't
Yeah.
worry
Yeah.
about
Well, that's that. Okay. Moving along. You win. Moving along. Speaking of Utica Pioneers, boy, this has been a big past couple of days, man. I tell you, heartbreaking loss that we touched on in segment 1 there. But boy, a senior heavy group that's moving on. But boy, I tell you, they're making good. So many guys have gone pro, and this is just going to be the list here that we've got so far. So let's see. You got John Makovic, who has gone to the Fayetteville Marksmen of the Southern Professional Hockey League. Nick McCurran and Lucas Herman are going to Pensacola of the SPHL, which is really super cool. Let's see. Yesterday, Justin Allen and Regan Cavanaugh made their debuts with the Norfolk Admirals of the ECHL. I listened to that game on the radio, and I tell you, there's a certain magic about listening to hockey on the radio. It really is. And I tell you, they were really excited to have those guys in Norfolk because during the broadcast, it's all they talked about was the Pioneers guys, Justin Allen, Regan was actually on the first intermission. It was so cool.
Mm.
So I think his dad owns the team, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just awesome. But also announced was Connor Fedoruk, Kalamazoo of the ECHL. And then Dante Sabata, the captain, he's going to Tulsa of the ECHL. We're expecting a few more coming, but I mean, we can't really say anything until everything's official.
Mm-hmm.
But, good for those guys. And you know what a feather in the cap of the Utica program as well.
Yeah, and I mean, Utica's had guys go to the E before, but seeing the amount of guys go is big. And I mean, even Monkovich, who went to the SPHL, he went home.
Yeah, he's 92 miles away.
Yeah. And all these guys are going places, and I'm watching them going. I hate to watch all these guys leave, especially seeing them on the ice the last game. But all these guys are talented in their own way. And it's good to see them land in places and have a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I mean, you make the good impression here at the end of the season because some of them are actually in playoff spots. Mm-hmm. So some of them are going to see some playoff hockey. And just a little interesting side note, too. Jamie Bussell, he's in Huntsville, right? Well, guess who Pensacola, whom McCurran and Lucas Herman just signed with, or guess who's playing at the end of the season? Last game. Pensacola at Huntsville. So there's going to be a little Pioneer rivalry going on the ice. It'll be like a weird dynamic.
Yeah, but that'll be a really good watch.
It will be. It is. I mean, it's just going to be fantastic. I mean, that's so cool. And as a matter of fact, not a lot of people know about the Southern Professional Hockey League. We actually kind of showcased it when we were doing Marty's last year. And I'm going to put out an article tomorrow on 315hockey.com, basically reminding everybody of what the Southern Professional Hockey League is, how it's made up, and it's a really cool little league. It just is. And I'll tell you, it'd be kind of neat if they actually had a feeder program established with the ECHL someday.
Yeah.
But, it'd be really, really cool. But like I said, congratulations to those guys. And like we talked about in segment 1, too, Alex DiCarlo with the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs. That's pretty awesome, too. So, yeah. So I thought he was going to say something. So I was like, oh, okay.
Pregnant pause.
Yeah. Oh, no.
And there we go.
No. All right. So one last little tidbit. We were talking about Marty's. Well, Marty's is back. We just we couldn't resist not talking about the NHL anymore.
I talked about it a lot tonight.
Yeah, we did. But you know what? I mean, Marty's is back. And as a matter of fact, Marty's and 315 Hockey, I decided are kind of like brother podcasts. Like joined at the hip together, right? So they're both on YouTube. They're both on Apple Podcasts, and they're both on Spotify. And I'm so proud to say that we just put 315 on Apple. What was it? Not even 5 days ago. And within 24 hours, both Marty's and 315 were in the top 200 for hockey podcasts in the United States. Yeah, so I just thought that was really, really super cool. And it's funny. I got the word that because Marty's is actually still on the Sports History Network. Marty's is up for an award. Did you? I couldn't
What?
believe it.
It's the Zamboni time machine did it.
It must be. I
Yeah.
could not believe it. I got the email. They're like, "Yeah, you're the sports podcast group." I think Dave, you got a banner for that, right?
Ah,
I
got
you
that.
get-
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the
Somewhere.
sports podcast group. They have their podcast awards, and Marty's is in like the top 8 in the hockey category. So if you want to vote for it,
Vote,
go
people,
on Twitter.
vote.
Go on Twitter. Go to @sportspodgroup. Right, you got to create the little account there, and you vote for Marty's. And I don't think you win anything, but it's still it's cool.
Tell him you win a Marty's cup.
Yeah,
I don't know.
not yours though.
Oh, wow. No.
Certainly not yours.
That one's been used.
No, no, that stays right here, pal. Not happening.
Oh God.
Yeah, but no, huge weekend coming up though for Colgate with the Utica guys signing, and I'm just going to take a real quick look at the schedule coming up here because let's see. So you got the Crunch and the Comets are playing Friday night in Utica, and then Sunday afternoon they're in Syracuse. That game starts at 5, and then sandwiched in between that, like we've already talked, the Comets are hosting the Amerks. That's at 7:00 at the Adirondack Bank Center, and Syracuse is hosting the Hershey Bears, who are another phenomenal team. That's going to be at 7:00 in Syracuse as well. So having Dave,
I had
yeah, but Barry, Dave's not on Marty's anymore. Explain that.
Yeah, but you just had one show since I haven't been there, so I'm
2.
I carried it.
I had 2.
All right.
Well, I couldn't help it. You're so busy now with the political race here.
Political race here, yeah.
Now let me ask you something. If your wife wins the mayor race, can I call you the first gentleman?
No, first dude. I've coined first dude.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Are you going to put a hashtag in front of it too?
Hell yeah. I should start already using that.
You should. You really should. That would be hilarious.
Oh God.
Oh boy, but yeah,
This is why your shows are up.
this is it. You're here.
My comedic.
It's the banter.
Yeah, my comedic relief.
Yeah, the
It is.
banter.
It is.
Hashtag
Yeah.
banter.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah. But yes, if you're so inclined, go to either YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and subscribe to both shows and help us grow those. So there, cheap, shameless plug. And speaking of those, 315hockey.com. We're going to have all kinds of previews. We got a Syracuse Utica preview coming up tomorrow. We got our full preview of Colgate versus Michigan coming up tomorrow. We got our SBHL overview coming up. So lots of action going on 315hockey.com. And again, follow us on all the socials too: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're everywhere. So we're going to start getting ready to roll out here. Again, Jordan, thank you once again for coming on and being the co-host, the go-between between me and Dave. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Absolutely. And I want to thank Zac Case from the Charging Buffalo once again. Go ahead and check out that thechargingbuffalo.com for all this Sabre news and Americans news. All right. I'm Scott Kimball. Thanks for listening. And we will see you again on 315 Hockey Live. We got talking about Marty's now.